What's up, my top G's? Today we're going to react to Andrew Tate on Piers Morgan. Let's get it.
Women
Talking
are
about all
permanent
sorts of
prey
stuff.
every single time
All the
they
recent
leave the
stuff.
house because of all of these liberal, femme-minded,
And why do you
garbage,
think-
girl feels,
Okay.
girl boss,
And why
Netflix,
do you think-
Piers Morgan,
And what?
bullshit,
Okay. And
it
why
needs
do you
to
think?
end.
And
Women are
Andrew
gonna
Tate.
keep dying.
Andrew Tate, why do you think it is that people think you're a misogynist?
Nobody thinks that.
No one thinks that.
A couple of nights ago,
No
I
one's
interviewed
saying
Andrew
that.
Tate in what may have been our most explosive interview yet.
No one's ever
A few
said that.
minutes after I left the Uncensored studio, news broke that Charlie Kirk
Completely
had been shot and, as we
unsubstantiated
now
claim.
know, assassinated. We're going to bring you the Andrew Tate interview in full, unedited and uncensored. But first, Andrew Tate returns to give his reaction to his horrific story. Andrew Tate, welcome back to Uncensored. This all happened just after we finished our interview 2 days ago. Just first of all, your immediate reaction when you heard what had happened to Charlie Kirk.
I was devastated. I was very, very sad about it because he's one of the good guys, and he's one of the people who believed in discourse, and he believed in speaking and trying to explain with logic why your worldview is better than the opposing. And if we don't have discourse, then all we have left is violence and war. The point of conversation is to avoid the war. The point of conversation is to be able to sit down and be logical enough to come to a conclusion without the need for violence. And it turns out that that's becoming less and less likely in America today.
I mean, it was, you know, as we get more and more information about the shooter, he's 22 years old. He had bullet casings with "Hey Fascist," "Catch," "O Bella Ciao," "O Bella Ciao," which is a reference to an Italian song adopted by the anti-fascist resistance during World War II. And then several sort of slightly ambiguous ones. If you read this, you're gay. LMAO, notices bulges, OWO, what's this? Which is a meme from internet culture associated with the furry craze. When you look at all that in totality, what do you think we're dealing with here in terms of who this person is?
I think America has a lot of problems. I think that it's an extremely politically charged environment, perhaps the most politically charged environment on the planet. Politics is all anyone talks about all
Furries
day,
are
every day.
crazed.
The judicial system is politicized. The educational system is politicized. You couple in with the fact it's the most medicated
True.
country in the world. It's very unusual for someone who grew up in Europe to know a large percentage of his fellow students to be on some kind of anti-anxiety medication, some kind of depression medication. These SSRIs remove the humanity from the mind and just wipe their brain. You couple that with a hateful media, which is constantly spitting out hateful rhetoric.
This Andrew Tate
And you're
guy,
gonna have a
man,
whole
he's
bunch
onto
of
something here.
Drones walking around without humanity, waiting
This
to
guy's onto
receive their
something.
slave instructions, and they're going to believe that they're doing the right thing by murdering people as opposed to just talking to them. So America's a very, very interesting place with a lot of problems. It's easy to just blame guns. I think that's pretty shallow to do because you can kill with a car, you can kill with a knife. We need to find out why there's such a spiritual sickness across all of the Western world, especially America.
Isn't this like, that's like nothing new, right?
Governor in Utah gave a pretty powerful address today in which he appealed to people.
Oh, no one ever
tone
said
down
that
rhetoric,
before. Like, we all know.
To get off social media, actually, as much as
We all
you can,
collectively
get back
agree.
to the real
So what's
world
going on?
Where 80% of the population exists in
What's
America.
going on?
You're very active on social media. You can be very
all
inflammatory
agree.
on social media. I mean, some of the tweets you've done since Charlie Kirk's death, the left are evil, murdering scum who kill people or let others kill people.
It's like it's not a democracy sometimes. Sometimes I'm over here thinking, geez, it's like not a democracy or something.
To do it. I get 1,000 death threats a day from these people. We are at war. Civil war was another one. You know,
Scusi.
some people will say, all right, Andrew Tate, you are part of the problem. You are yourself spewing pretty toxic stuff out to millions of people, whipping up rather than calming down.
It speaks!
The problem. What do you say to that?
Well, if you have a point of view, somebody can be radicalized by it, right? If you have any point of view on the planet, somebody can be radicalized by it. And social media, like all things, is a fantastic tool that can do amazing things. But if it's used the wrong way, it can also do very destructive things. I don't think the answer is to start telling people to not talk. I think the answer is more discussion, more debate. Because if you remove debate, the only answer is violence. So I think that it's also my tweets, which you just highlighted, the fact that I do receive death threats. Somebody did try to kill me only a few weeks ago, and then a friend of mine, a guy who I respected, was blasted, and I had to watch him bleed out. I think it's pretty fair that to say that, of course, my tweets are going to be emotionally charged. We can't get into a area where we say that we can't talk anymore, because that's only going to lead to more violence. We have to be able to speak to each other. And I think that you would agree, perhaps I'm wrong, that it's the left which seem to be the ones who are so obsessed with assassination. It seems to be the left which are more violent, Antifa, and their riots trying to assassinate President Trump. An attempt was made on my life. An attempt was made on Nick Fuentes' life. They just killed Charlie Kirk. For us to sit here and pretend that this violence isn't going one way is disingenuous.
I certainly don't think it only goes one way. I certainly think it can go the way of any extremist. That the far right has its own problem with extremists. There have been lots of left-wing politicians and public figures who've been targeted. So I think it's a problem that goes both ways. But I have said for quite a while that the woke mind virus, as Elon Musk calls it, that ideology is extremely dangerous, because the irony of it is you've got this kid who is, purporting to be anti-fascist, but actually using violence and a gun to silence permanently someone whose views he doesn't agree with. The point being, that is the epitome of fascism.
Well, that's exactly it. So the reason this is so dangerous from the left, and it's not as dangerous from the right, it's because the people who are on the right live in a version of objective reality.
There's
we live in the real
reflection
world.
of
These people do not live in the real
Nazi
world.
Germany.
If you're going to believe that,
like in technique being used on the left,
a man is a woman, and you're going to believe that we should have no borders for our country and
indoctrination, this enraging, this willing to see people get killed. Like, it's the same game that they played when they convinced Nazi Germany to genocide the Jews. It's the same game. Like, you have to learn that game, or else you'll participate in that game. And learning that game will improve your life in more ways than just one.
And the numbers of people can turn up and just steal from us. If you're going to believe that criminals shouldn't go to jail, you're not a person who's sensible. You now have no parameters from which to operate your logic. So if you're going to live in a complete fantasy land, it becomes a lot easier to justify murdering a political opponent than it does if you operate from a frame of rationality. So for that reason, the left are far more dangerous, because all of their ideas are dangerous, because none of them are true. None of them are real. For the same reason, it's dangerous for me to say to you, gravity isn't real, you can jump off a building. If you start believing in things that are completely falsified, completely fantasy, then murder is the end result of all of it. So the left is a serious problem across the world. It's a serious problem across America, especially. You add in a spiritual sickness where we have nothing unifying us in the West anymore. We don't share a respect for a flag. We don't share respect for the country we're in. We don't share language. We don't share religion. We don't even share economic prosperity anymore. There's literally nothing unifying us. And if you're going to remove the capability to debate and discuss ideas, then you're going to have an absolute civil war. And that's what's so sad, that Charlie Kirk literally was the #1 guy trying to speak. He wasn't trying to inflame tensions. He wasn't trying to push violence. He was the guy saying, look, let's talk this through and let me show you why you're wrong. He was the good guy who did the right thing, and he caught a bullet for it. And that is truly devastating.
But when you post civil war, literally one post just said civil war, what do you mean by that? What do you expect?
I mean that civil war is coming if we can't talk to each other.
Well, that's a different sentiment. Had you said that, then fair enough. But just to say civil war is...
Well, did I give a verb?
Well, what you're saying by civil war, you're saying to your followers that you believe there is a state of civil war here. Now, as you know, the Civil War in America was one of the most consequential periods in its history and was waged with gun violence.
Well, I can answer that in two ways. Firstly, if conservatives can't give their opinion and they can't talk openly and freely without catching a bullet, then I guess it is a war. But that wasn't what I was inferring. I was inferring that a civil war is coming if we can't speak to each other and unify behind an idea, especially the idea of being an American. You've now added a verb saying that I was trying to incite civil war, because very much like all other media figures, it's your primary intention.
I didn't add anything.
It's your primary intention to just spin up negative clips and find things that get you views. And that's exactly what the liberal media has always done, which is why conservatives are under permanent attack. We're going to now sit here and say I'm a violent person.
No, I didn't say that.
And then when someone else turns up at my house attempting to kill me like they did 3 weeks ago,
why are you putting words...
that has nothing to do with you, Pierce.
Why are you
the liberal media in and of itself is truly disgusting. It's the reason why Charlie Kirk had to eat a bullet. Because the liberal media convinced this guy who's probably looks like he's on SSRIs to me, that Charlie Kirk was the heart of evil when he truly wasn't. So please do not, in this conversation about a fallen comrade, do not do the exact thing the media always do and the exact thing that ended up getting him killed. Do
Okay.
not say I said something I didn't say.
Okay.
And do not give some
Can I
garbage
get a word in?
inference trying to get a bunch of clicks
I say
on your
something?
channel. You may
Okay.
need money, but I don't, sir.
Yeah,
So I don't care
let me
about
just
clicks. You may be
respond.
broke. I'm not. I didn't
As-
say let's go to civil war.
If I may
didn't say let's
respond-
start a civil war.
If I may
said this will
respond,
end it. I
You
said
can keep
civil war
talking,
because
Andrew,
that's
or
where
you
it's
can
gonna
shut
end.
up. I never added any verb. I literally read your post was 2 words.
And neither did I.
Civil war. I never
Neither did
added
I.
a
You
verb. So the
inferred,
whole
sir.
pretext
You
for
inferred.
your whole pretext for your little rant about me is based on a lie, which the viewers will know was a lie because they heard what I said. I never added any words to your post. I read out the words civil war and asked you what you
Do you
meant
know what
by
the word
it.
infer
You then
means?
clarified it. You then clarified it, and I would say to you in return that if you don't want people to misinterpret your post, then maybe post what you actually mean rather than posting the words civil war, which I think are
posted what I meant.
incendiary.
Thank you very much. It's clear that conservatives are under attack by a rabid left-wing sect of the population, which is being radicalized by media figures, very much like yourself. That is clear. We just saw a man bleed to death in front of his wife and children, purely because the media convinces everybody at home that he is evil somehow for having an opinion.
There is an
opinion
irony.
which isn't
There is
even
an irony.
controversial.
Okay.
And MSNBC
Yeah.
and all of these people
Yeah.
who do this, even after his death, were constantly trying to make excuses for the shooter.
Yeah.
It is disgusting.
Okay.
The lie, and I know you don't care, Piers, but a man tried to come into my house and stab me 3 weeks ago. So for you to infer I'm saying that we need to have a civil war, it's actually quite heinous. So please be careful, sir.
I'm not the one who said civil war. You are.
I said civil war, and then you tried to infer, you tried to sit and ask and infer that I'm trying to promote violence.
I asked you
First,
what you meant
talked
by
about
it.
how my tweets are inflammatory, and you're trying to say that I promote violence. Then you read those
All right,
tweets
this
out
is silly.
because you're inferring I'm a violent person. I'm telling you that I'm here. I understand you need views. Do not infer.
We're all thinking it. What's the big deal? Why is he trying to argue against it? Because legal bullshit, dude. That's why politics is sketch, bro. Everybody this is too sketch, dude. You can't say fucking anything. You gotta know all these rules.
Said something I did not say. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I didn't, as everybody who watches this knows, so you just lied. Andrew Tate recorded in real time. Today's show is brought to you by Oxford Natural. Merits as light.
Hell
Here
yeah,
are just
dude.
£80.
Oxford Natural.
Laurel £5.
That's
to
my
Oxford's independent. A small movement can rapidly become a nationwide phenomenon. A shocking but local incident can trigger global indignation. But the root cause of it all and the motives behind it can both get lost in the noise. This summer's Raise the Colours campaign is a case in point, a big push to hoist the English flag across the country has entangled fair-minded protest and patriotism with propaganda and prejudice. People are angry, but not everything they're angry about is true. The same can be said about the brutal murder of Ukrainian refugee Irina Zarutska on a train in North Carolina. Justified online fury over the appalling
just no
footage
good.
has sparked a massive furore, prompting even the US president to intervene. But some people believe it's only become a racial scandal because of bad faith actors on social media. Andrew Tate understands these issues well.
Probably.
and
Why
he
didn't
joins
he
me now.
stab
Andrew Tate,
any of
welcome
the
back
other
to
people?
Uncensored.
Piers.
I've not spoken to you
Doesn't seem
since,
unreasonable.
obviously, a massive
Oh, okay. So it's like a whole Tate montage we're getting here. All right, I'm down.
development in your life. I need to talk about the elephant in the room off the top.
I haven't
You're
taken
facing
into
10
Andrew Tate.
charges.
I haven't taken into it. Like I haven't taken in any early, Tate Genesis videos. Literally, I just avoided it. I don't know. I didn't care. Like I don't know. It's not for me. So, but now that he's like, the media animal has matured. Now he's actually like, stable. Well, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It doesn't seem like he's trying to be so edgy anymore. It's kind of like Nick Fuentes. It's like, okay, guys, like, let's get serious here, and stop just playing for clicks or whatever.
Including rape, actual bodily harm, human trafficking, and controlling prostitution for gain, relating to 3 women in the UK. And your brother Tristan faces 11 charges, including rape, actual bodily harm, and human trafficking. What is your response to that development in your life?
Everybody's thinking civil war, but and the whole game is to just be like, everybody chill, and it'll just keep happening until everybody's ready to pop, and then they'll be like civil war, and then everybody will rush to the buses, and then they'll all be. Floop.
My response is very simple, Piers. It was the UK Foreign Office that wrote to the Romanians in 2023 and
Like, war is so stupid, guys. Go play paintball. Go play airsoft. Don't go to war. Airsoft and paintball are better than war. Just in every way. Every way, dude. I won't even start.
said I was a national security threat because I had too much influence over the young men of the country. They told the Romanians to get me off the internet. The Romanians arrested me and, as you know, spent 3 years accusing me of things that were not true. The Romanians threw the entire case out because it's garbage and there never was a case. Once the Romanians throw their case out, then the British state brings up some garbage. I'm considered a national security threat to the Matrix, and all they do is lie. You have seen, and we have spoken multiple times throughout this fiasco of what's happened to me in Romania, and I've yet to have a court case or ever be convicted of anything ever.
Yeah, this guy's
is
funny.
a deep state operation by the UK Foreign Office trying to stop me from doing the one thing I'm intent on doing, which is saving the British state from themselves.
Yeah, okay, he wasn't a trafficker.
And true American craftsmanship. They've won a
They're going to be killed because there's some other drug dealing debt for them to deal with in inner city Chicago. That young girl was killed because she was white. It was a hate crime, and she was targeted.
We don't actually know that.
Of course we know that.
No.
It seems very likely,
I'll show you how we know that.
No. I know what you're going to say because I've already debated it. The reality of the situation, you had a severely mentally ill, probably schizophrenic.
I don't give.
I'm about to tell you.
People are mentally
let's
ill.
deal with some
This is a
facts.
cop-out.
Then you can. Let's deal with some facts. Then you can give me your opinion. That's how this works, right? He is heard on tape saying, "I got the white girl." Okay, that suggests a potential racial motivation.
Potentially.
No shit.
Yeah. Okay, but we don't actually know. And I do think, as I
Dude, you can just look with your two eyes and be like, everyone else is black and she's white. And maybe it has to do with she sat directly in front of him. Maybe it doesn't matter who was going to sit in front of him that day. That's a definite possibility. But it's also just as plausible, and this is probably why there's so much defense to it, because it's it's easier for that take, because that's what you see. You just immediately you go, oh shit, yeah, look, a little white girl tried to sit around the black people, and she couldn't even survive home after, surviving the Ukraine war and shit. And then there's the other side where it's like, well, maybe he was just going to get whoever sat in front of him.
have said publicly, I do think the mainstream media.
But I mean, if you just look at everything else, the way everything else is going, doesn't it just? You can't be faulted at all. The conspiracy is that he would have stabbed any person in front of him. Like, would he have stabbed an Asian? Does he feel the same way about Asians? I mean, the guy's still alive, right? Like, we can interview him. No? Like, why aren't we just, like, told what? No? Why don't we know his definitive motivations? I'm triggered. All right, now I'm irritated.
A very hypocritical
Why are they debating
manner
this when the dude's, like, alive?
If that had been the other way round and you'd had
What's
a
up with
white
that?
man
You gotta
killing
wait for
a
the-
beautiful young black girl and saying, I got the
judicial
black
process.
girl, it would have instantly been a huge story covered by mainstream media in a very aggressive manner. The fact that this was ignored for several days was...
But yeah, for real, this shit was all over Twitter for days. Until, like, I saw anything on anything else. And then finally, by, like, the 5th day or some shit, I saw it on, like, mainstream news.
an indication to me that there was
That
a
white
decision,
people are-
That's why you all gotta have Twitter.
Victim of
taken.
prejudice.
And follow me.
So I think there was a clear bias
Zoopity.
exposed in the way it was ignored. So I would agree
It
with
should
you
just
about
be
that.
Zoopity.
But I do
I
think
don't
he's
know,
clearly
whatever.
mentally ill, probably schizophrenic. We don't actually know what motivated him to kill this poor Ukrainian
Yes, we do.
woman. And the reason it's important is that
Because white people are presented as evil, just straight up evil. And this is in the entire storytelling and visual medium right now. It's just like what they would do to the Jews to get you ready to kill Jews in Nazi Germany. It's the same thing. The ways white people are being presented right now, it's the same thing. It's virtuous to perform violence against the white people. You're doing some kind of justice. When it's like, you're not thinking, dude, that girl didn't do anything to you. You don't know her. And she doesn't like have a fucking clue about what's going on in these people's heads, you know. Probably just thinks they're normal, happy people. They're like, oh, they're a little rowdy, you know. But and there's just all these things. The white people are either straight up villainous. They're pure villain. They're a remorseful and sorrowful and trying to get it right kind of good guy. Not the hero, but the good guy. Or they're just a weak, pathetic fucking joke. Those are our white characters. You know, our white men at least. Like the Rings of Power is a great example, because that one, all the white guys are like evil in some way and unvirtuous and like do all these things that corrupt everybody. But then Galadriel's just like so pure and innocent, and so is everybody else.
Once we do establish more information and more facts, we can make a more considered opinion. One of the issues I have with you, Andrew, and a lot of other people, is that there's always a rush to judgment. And the problem with rushes to judgment is later information may contradict what you're feeling in the moment. I remember in the riots that erupted after we had a young black boy killing those poor white girls, right? There was a rush to judgment that he'd come in illegally on a boat on the south coast of the UK. It turned out that wasn't the case. So I believe in waiting for facts and information and then casting a judgment. And I think my criticism of you in these situations is you have immediately decided that was the motivation, therefore it's a racist hate crime, and that's it. And I would argue to you, why don't you give it a bit of time? Why don't you wait for more information and make a more considered opinion?
Okay, first things first, if we're going to talk about waiting for information, you shouldn't have told me that Israel was not committing a genocide on October 8th. You've been proven wrong. That's the first thing. The second thing, he said, I got that white girl. You're going to pretend that doesn't matter as if it's not proof
I didn't
enough.
say it didn't matter.
Third thing,
I said it
don't
suggests
care
a
if he's
racial
mentally ill.
motivation.
Everybody who stabs somebody is mentally ill. This mentally ill bullshit, I don't know where this has come from, where someone's a criminal, but they're mentally ill. Every single person who commits murder is mentally ill. Every single person who commits necrophilia is mentally ill. Every single person who believes they can get in and out of a bank with money without getting caught has some kind of mental disorder. They're all mentally ill. I don't care about mentally ill. And here's the final nail in the coffin to your asinine argument, sir. Why did he not stab anyone else on the bus? Because he was already on a bus with 4 people and he didn't touch them. If he's so mental, if he can't control his mind, why didn't he stab any of those? Is it because everyone else on the bus was black? The first white person he sees, he kills and says, I got that white girl. And you don't believe that's enough proof for a court of law to determine that was a racially motivated attack?
It wouldn't be enough proof at the moment for a court of law, no. Absolutely, I believe that. But that's because I've covered many court cases and you haven't. No, as a journalist, I just prefer. I prefer in waiting for more information.
Black people on the bus.
I think
this person, who I will agree was probably deranged, although I give no merit to that, although it does not garner any sympathy from me, he clearly had something wrong with him. This person was radicalized by a leftist media machine, which blames every single thing on white people, which says that white people are the devils, that
you know, they can barely, that's such loose control over these sorts of storytelling techniques too, because he's not supposed to kill the white girl. You know, like when we go invade in the ancient world, when we used to when us Romans would go invade all of you barbarian folk, we would eliminate all of your men. And we would leave your women. Such is the same conditioning. Which if you're a masculine man, you'll find all women are sexy. There's not a fucking race that isn't. But they're men, you can, I mean, unless you have some stuff that they need to build or whatever, usually you just get rid of them. Anyways, that's our history lesson for the day.
everything white people have done is wrong, that their entire history is wrong, and that they deserve the bad things that happen to them.
You have no idea.
But that ancient technique is still being done, like, today to white people. And you can't argue it. And I've, like, spent most of my life amateur filmmaking, studying how to write well, all these fun things, having deep abstraction and everything. And, you know, I'm just showing you the magic trick, like
You have no idea.
it's, I don't know, it might sound kind of freaky if you're not into the mind magic, but once you get into mind magic, it'll make sense.
Demonize an entire race endlessly. We're going to end up having a few
otherwise known as
idiots who act
psychology.
on that.
But
and
Andrew-
that's what this man did.
But
because
Andrew-
of the media. The leftist media are complicit in what happened to this poor young girl.
Actually, you have absolutely no idea if anything you've just said is remotely true.
I
None
have
of it.
We actually do, though, because it's the pattern that makes it true. So it doesn't even matter if it is true or if it isn't true at this point, and we all know it, and that's where the argument becomes more infuriating, incites more, devices more.
Absolute certainty
None
that
of
it is.
And, you know, that's where you get the Civil War quote from, obviously. So we could all just, like, do a hippie movement, or we could get down with the get down. Whatever.
fact.
None of
sir.
it. It's not a fact. If it was a fact, we'd all be.
is a
Seems like
fact.
it's gonna the big Civil War is gonna happen, or else all you know, why are we playing all these games? Why are we escalating? Asmund said it best, dude. It's gonna get worse. Get ready. You have been precognified. Expect it, and don't be surprised. Get yourself an open carry, a concealed carry, some tactical training, and plan.
No, it's not a fact yet. That's the point. This is my point. Again,
The
off you
leftist
go.
media has
Just in case shit gets like crazy out of nowhere, because it's wild how poorly we can take care of ourselves if the system breaks apart. And there's like 5 or 6 major things every city needs. If you lose one of these things, cannibalism. So, you know, it can get really ugly like in a week. In a week, your true colors, your true beast can be shown to you. Or maybe you're so virtuous that, you know, it won't be. Good for you.
done
Off you
nothing
go,
but
making a
demonize
series
white
of assumptions.
people for as long. Okay, all right. If you want to be smart, let me prove you
You
wrong.
stayed
being
pure.
smart.
Good for you. Who stayed pure? Who died too early? Who stayed pure? Fuck. I got nothing.
I'm just saying,
Yeah, sure.
it's not
Let me
a
prove you wrong
fact.
once again. This is Piers.
Leave it in the comments. Who died a hero? That's what I was looking for. Who died a hero?
Piers. I'm well versed.
Charlie Kirk
This is
died a
easy.
hero.
Let me ask you a
Stayed
question.
pure.
If there's an Islamic
Beautiful.
terror attack, like the London
like
bombings,
Batman.
and then Abu Hamza, Mr. Hook, Captain Hook, he ends up going to jail for a very long time. He didn't blow anything up, but no, he was talking about how Islamic terror attacks should happen because he believes that people deserve them because of his personal worldview.
that's
He was
sweet.
instigating so that some idiot would listen to him with less brains than him and then go and murder. What is the difference between that and what the leftist mainstream media is doing by
I'm gonna blow your guys' mind now. The marketing and sales system of America. Guys, this is too deep. It's hard to hold. To keep that lit. It's interested in. Fuck. Hold up.
murder? What is the difference between that and what the leftist brain do? He was instigating so that some idiot would listen to him with less brains than him and then go and murder.
Okay. The whole American machine, the system that's killing our people and is ruining us, that we have to get control over, either in ourselves or externally via the actual gears of the system that Daenerys is so pissed off about. The system is designed in such a way where, unfortunately, this is a byproduct of the sales technique and marketing technique offers itself to fill that void, that hole that God hole. Where's that from? What's the God hole from? Is that Sunny in Philadelphia? It's so accurate. Those guys are brilliant. So that, because I was literally just going to naturally call it that. So it's to fill that God hole, that eye hole, and they're always temporary, right? Like you get a new car, like you're over it in a week. You get a new house, you're over it in a week. That's because these things are like temporary pleasures. They're not these eternal pleasures, and that's the whole game, is to make it so you're not deep in yourself and finding the most valuable experience that the human reality can offer you, which is actually internal. It's not external. It's not in all of your stuff. It's inside. That's your real stuff, and know that that's your stuff too. And it's really your mind. That's the real thing. Anyway, so everybody's looking for that. This wholeness that this system is developed to breed out of you, that religion is shunned for. Like, that's the real thing that the spiritualities get you. It's that foreverness. Like, all these spiritualities are ancient. Why? You think you might want to pay in some mind? You think there might be something to it? You think the lack of spirituality today might be why everyone's a miserable idiot, pleasuring themselves to death? So, in the marketing and sales business, which is all business, they're interested in investing in you lacking that God hole, that they want you to be missing a piece of yourself. It wants you to be missing a piece of yourself, because now I can present you a vehicle that will fulfill that piece of yourself. And in the same way, you know, all of a sudden you're like, well, you watch the satellite TV commercial. I need to get a satellite TV and solar, and, you know, all these things, because it presents as this, it sells itself as the better version of yourself, the more fulfilled version of yourself. But the irony is that all these things aren't fulfilling. They're fun, and you should play with them, but they're not fulfilling. I hope this is making a little sense, and or at the very least, like, we're kind of looking through a keyhole of something that will, or planting a seed that will sprout into something bigger. But that same technique, unfortunately, can be used to, like, radicalize people, especially when they've done the whole shindig, right? They've bought all the things, they've been sold all the things, marketed all the things, they bought it all, and they just keep empty. They're just still empty and hollow, and they just can't find that good stuff, that fulfillment.
What is the difference between that and what the leftist mainstream media is doing by constantly demonizing white people constantly and endlessly?
Well,
there's always going to be somebody who's mentally impaired
Allow me
on
to
some
respond.
level who's going to act upon
Allow
it.
me to
So
respond.
we're locking up Islamic extremists for discussing violence against
Allow
people
me
who
to
are not
respond.
Muslim. We should also be locking up anybody who's demonizing an entire race, demonizing all of their history, and demonizing them to the point where they cannot get on a bus. They can't get on public transport without worrying about being murdered. And I have a future on this planet where I'm not here. There's a future on this planet where my white daughters exist and I am gone. And they will be victims and targets unless white people start standing up for themselves, standing up for their beliefs, and standing up for their nations. Because you're the only race which is being erased. You're the only one. Nobody is invading and erasing any other race. Only you white people. And you seem to sit there and wonder, oh, maybe it's not too bad. Maybe it's because of this. Maybe it's because of that. It doesn't matter. The world is tribal. You're not going to exist much longer if you don't stick up for yourselves. And you are clearly targets of an orchestrated campaign. There is a campaign which is designed to demoralize and eradicate you. And there are a few idiots who listen to this campaign and act on it savagely in real time on your public transport systems that you pay for with your taxes.
When you stop shouting.
Let me ask you a question, Pierce.
Well, why don't you just stop shouting for a moment and let me respond?
The majority of taxes to import white people who don't work to replace them? No other race on the planet would commit suicide to this level besides the white man. And I'm here to encourage the white man to stand up for himself.
Well, since you mentioned taxes, you could explain why the police had to seize more than £2 million from your brother for failing to pay tax on revenue from your online businesses.
Great way to change subject. Why did the British state try and steal
For
my
real.
money? Well, considering the British state, the Foreign Office meddled in a foreign country's half black. You can't offend me. Just tell me the
And
truth.
who are
All
most
right. Jacked Up Fitness. Let's get it,
and
boys.
the vast majority of the victims.
What do we got next? Piers
of that
Morgan on
knife
the
crime
problem
are also
of
black.
knife
That
crimes
is just a statistical
by
fact.
young black men in the UK.
Right? So it just flies slightly in the face of your white genocide nonsense.
What else do we got here? Piers challenges Andrew Tate on his tax evasion charges. Did I rewind or something? Tate's on women's rights. That one might be kind of interesting. We'll see where he's landing at today. I know his history of girl power, girls get it done, he's not too supportive of that. Piers asked Tate, what skills do you want your daughter to have? You are a terrible misogynist. Piers the Tate. Oh, wonderful. I can't wait for that. Okay. We'll do women's rights, and then we'll do you're a terrible misogynist. And then we'll end the video.
But I think when you rush
And
to
hopefully
judgment
you guys
and
had
your
fun. This is a
platform,
pretty chill one.
it's
I enjoyed this
incredibly
one.
dangerous, Andrew. I get so many young men in particular, teenage boys, early 20s, who come up and ask me about you and our interviews and what I actually think about you. You know that. You have a big influence and a big reach. But you
Perhaps
talk
the largest.
But yeah, all right. But they hear you make a big rant about protecting women's rights and so on, right? But only today, on your X account, to millions of people, you've said this: stop letting women vote. Stop giving women
Correct.
position as judges. Stop
Correct.
giving women political appointments. As soon as
Correct.
only men run government and law, all the problems disappear. Women
Correct.
now understand that without male protection, they're nothing but victims. You are not a girl
Correct.
boss. There is no such thing. Crying for Iriana is a wake-up call for females. And honestly, I don't think I've ever read a more ludicrously misogynistic, hypocritical load of claptrap
Well,
in my
let me
life.
answer you
How
then,
can you
Piers.
pretend to be standing up for women's
Let me
rights
answer
when
you,
actually
Piers.
what you want to do is subjugate women of all their rights?
Guys, there was a tribe or tribes in the ancient Greek world that were called the Medusae, something like that. But they inspire Medusa. They had poisoned hair. They'd braid and poison their hair and shoot poison darts, and they were all females. And, you just kind of picture that image like a pack of them, bro, and you're just one dude. Like, think how intimidating that is. You know what I mean? Like, whatever you want your woman to be, whatever. I get it. I respect that. But, dude, that's a scary image of women. And we also look at lions, and their girls are pretty badass, too, so... Girls can be pretty badass if they want to be, or they can just be like homemakers if they want to be. That's my take anyway. I'm pretty open to whatever they want to do. Oh, dude, but no, they would kidnap dudes. They would kidnap men. So this is probably like a tribe of women who have been subjugated by men like Andrew Tate, for example, and those beliefs. So they're like fighting against that whole system and doing their own kind of lifestyle, and their whole game is poison. So like they poison dart dudes, and then they got the dudes laying there totally numbed out but conscious, and then they give them something to make his boing, and then they get themselves impregnated like some Moses and his daughter shit, and then they ice the dude. And there's one story about it. This happened to a dude. I don't know if it was the Medusa, but it was just another kind of cannibalistic kidnapping tribe. He was like a traveling musician. He got poisoned, but he got roofied. He got poisoned by these people, and he was laying on a stack of all these other bodies. And they had like rituals and like doses that they would like fatten up the bodies. I forget the specifics of what they would do to the bodies, but while they were waiting to do that for that process, the dude woke up because he'd. He had flashback to before he was on his travels. He took these what do you call them, like vaccines, effectively. So in case that ever happened, they wouldn't be as effective in such a circumstance. He would wake up. So he wakes up and he drags himself out of there and saves himself from these Medusae or cannibals or something. It's just so girls can be pretty scary, guys, especially when they're banded together and they all have snake hair and poison darts, and they're looking to kidnap and execute you.
How do those two things
saying.
sit without
You
you
are
being
completely-
Unironically, girls can get it done. There's a lot of corny content out there, but sometimes, it's done right, and it's pretty cool. like Sigourney Weaver, you know, like you tell me that girl doesn't get it done in Aliens, you're out of your mind, son.
He's an hypocrite.
You are conflating subjugation with.
There's so much crap though, where it's like they really just do it injustice. They used to like write these characters well, and nowadays they think, God, I had a good take the other day. Like it's just they don't think they have to like try or something. I don't know, whatever.
Protection. It turns out that it's the big, evil, mean misogynists who say that his woman shouldn't have to work in a pizza parlor, or that she can't defend herself on a bus, or that she shouldn't be walking outside alone. I should go with her. It's us big, evil, mean misogynists who actually care about women.
You don't even want women to vote.
It is the
you don't even want to give women the right to vote.
The liberals, the Democrats, the idiots who are going to sit there and pretend that a woman should be able to make her own money and take a public transport alone and sit next to a black guy and not worry about it. All of their worldviews led to her murder. I remember when I spoke to October, I said my women don't have jobs. You said, why don't your women have jobs?
What
My
you're
answer
saying,
is simple, because if they have
what
a
you're
job,
saying
they
is
might get
absolute.
stabbed to death.
Yeah, but Andrew.
Okay, what's happening now is like there's so many things in England, all these terrible things happening to these little white girls we see on Twitter, right? And it's because they're living in a world that has evolved to be safe for a little white girl to go out in public and not get kidnapped and turned into a sex traffic ring for however long by like with 80 people involved. Like it's insane. Some of these stories, they're insanely disgusting. Could you imagine? So the thing becomes bullshit when we're not even warned. We're not supposed to adjust our behaviors, you know, right? So this is a deep topic. What can you do?
Society is broken down.
Andrew,
we built society specifically
what you're
for the
saying,
reason that women used to have to walk around with a permanent male chaperone.
Yeah.
And society was built so that women could go outside and interact with the world without a chaperone.
Yeah.
Society was built by evil, misogynistic men. And then these feminists came along and destroyed it all. I believe in protecting women because I don't believe they can fight. If that makes me a misogynist, so be it.
No, the
women
reason
like men who protect
let me
them.
respond.
No woman wants to be seen as a man's equal
Andrew,
in the realm of martial combat.
The reason
me saying that is women who vote for these DEI policies,
I'm going to try and talk.
Women who vote for liberalism.
I'm going to try and talk.
Women who vote for open
let
borders.
Me talk.
A female judge let him out. And this is a wake-up call to all women to listen to the bad guys.
Oh, they've had the wake-up call.
The bad guys want you alive, and the good guys, the wimps, want you stabbed in the neck and dead.
Stop talking. So you, again, just to repeat, you said this today in your rant. Stop letting women vote. Stop giving them positions as judges. Stop giving them political appointments. As soon as only men run government and law, all the problems disappear. Women now understand that without male protection,
there's
they're nothing but victims.
Anymore.
I can't think. Do you even understand
how
misogynist that is?
Well, let me ask you a question.
Jesus, what a take, dude. It's all their fault. Is it? What if? Who knows?
Who votes for
not.
liberalism? Who votes for soft on crime? Who votes for open borders? Who votes for DEI? By and large, male or female, which sex is
Wow, you're really doubling down, aren't you?
That's pretty true. That's pretty true. You can't get beyond that. Most women are Democrats.
What was the gender of the judge who let this man out his 14th time in court? Male
because
or
they're
female?
women. You know, that's like part of it. You know, you're like nurturing and caring. Whereas typically the man's role is to be like calculated, rational, and killing.
Wow.
Female.
Wow.
Why was this woman going to work and riding the tram?
Like it just makes sense. Like the woman creates the baby. She births the baby. She needs to take care of the baby. The male bird goes out and gets the food. The male bird goes out and kills. Hi, welcome to reality. Hi, welcome to reality. It's God's plan. Adam and Eve. Adam and Electron. Masculine and feminine. It's a relationship forever. Like, what's the goal here? Are we trying to evolve past that? What's the goal here? Are we just arguing because we're fucking stupid? Is that what we're doing here? If that's my conclusion, I'll never entertain this discussion again. I'll actually just skip it.
I'm late alone at night instead of thinking this is dangerous or I need to find a man to take care of. me. Why was she doing this? Because she probably believed that she can go and fend for herself and deal with herself out in the world. She doesn't need male protection. Bad things happen when we ignore reality.
Yeah, the reality is they just get ran through. But most dudes, you know, it's you know, they're not looking for something either. They're not looking for anything permanent either, and that's just the conditioning. Just poisonous conditioning. And yeah, we've all been tricked and we've given away our country.
I'm a misogynist and I'm not a racist. I am a realist, sir. I am a realist. White people are being subjugated.
So you're
and
blaming-
gentrified.
you're blaming-
We've been tricked into giving away our country. We feel virtuous about it. I mean, it is. It's such a virtuous thing. I mean, self-sacrifice is the most virtuous thing you could do. It's like the biggest irony in being a Christian nation. It's like, okay, sacrifice yourself for the rest of the world and let them take over. It's like, oh, okay. Like, this shit used to be, like, funny and shit. Like, you know, just all the memes. But then, like, it becomes more and more of a reality every day. It just becomes, like, worse and worse every day. Like, so much. Like, for a little bit, it's a meme. But then it's just becoming ridiculous now. It's like, what's going on here? Democrats are just pumping in a bunch of random people to get their votes. So we have, like, no control over our political system. Like, that's the narrative. That's the idea. It seems like the consensus. It doesn't seem like a rare take or harsh take. I'm pretty, like, I don't know if left agrees with that. If they know, I don't know. I'm curious what the Young Turks think. What's
It's
Hassan
clear.
So just to
And
be
women
clear,
need to
all right,
understand that
stop
it takes a bad guy
Okay.
to be a bad guy.
Okay.
And the big, evil, mean, toxically masculine misogynist, let me tell you something. I'm the only guy on that tram who would have killed that guy before he got off of it.
Yeah.
I would have took the knife off him and stabbed him in his neck.
Sure.
Only me. No one else did.
Very
so it takes a
macho.
bad guy to beat a bad
Yeah,
guy.
very
son.
macho of
true.
you. But what you're basically inferring is that she brought this on herself.
No, what I'm inferring
You are.
is that society was built to protect women. And when you protect something, you must restrict something. We have taken that restriction, we've taken that protective instinct, conflated it into...
That's not wrong, dude. My cat wants to go explore outside all the time, but, you know, it's dangerous out there and he could get hurt. That's not wrong. Like, that's like that's like this weird kind of thin area where this, like, debate really lies. Like, when you really start thinking about it.
subjugation. You did it at the beginning of this questioning.
Yeah.
You tried to say
When
we
you remove
subjugate
a
women,
woman's
when you
right
said
to
we
vote.
Because it's like an ugly topic, but most of these, like, super nice guys, you know, they're like usually kind of the most dangerous. And, like, ironically, like that big douchebag jockey bully guy, he actually, just by proxy, protects a lot of these other girls who you know, aren't actually attracted to all these guy friends, right? Like, who do you think the guy clubbing you in the head is? It's probably that guy who's, like, hanging out with women, you know, dude. Like, you're like a man hanging out with girls, and they're not giving you any. Like, are you gay? No, you're not gay. Oh, okay. So you're, like, opportunistic, and you're waiting for, right? Like, that's how all these stories play out. You know, disgustingly so. But there are takes like that explain this, like how the beta male is actually the dangerous male. And I don't know if it's too popular that, like, this big kind of footballer by proxy protects these guys, like whatever the alpha male would be, because they would have repercussions, like, in the future from them if they did do something like that. So if you take them all out, then you're just in, you know, you're in danger. And then we just get back to, like, ancient times, and then we'll get to where where we need to protect women or something. I'm rambling.
an entire
When you
society
remove a
around
woman's right to
protecting
work
women.
and
if
vote
that is ignored,
and all these
if that
other
is damaged
things,
and
you are
decimated,
reducing
then
women
females are
to
prey.
your chattel.
The society we live in now, women are permanent prey every single time they...
I don't know. It's hard to land anywhere on this because it's like, you obviously don't want to be like a slave master or, like, even advocate that towards, like, women. But, you know, also when you see terrible things happen, like, it's like, okay, well, how do we avoid that? You know, as far as I knew, I don't know. Societies are always ugly. Like, they're even going to be ugly in, like, the 50s and 30s and stuff. Like, still like, all these same dangers from freaks. Like, you know, what are you gonna do? What can you do? I don't know. There's CCTV everywhere. So we gotta just make sure these people are punished. They're captured and punished. It's as simple as that, right? Like, a human being should be able to walk outside and enjoy their environment, no matter like what gender or age. Like, I grew up in a small town, and I explored that whole town every day. Not like totally safe, but pretty dang safe enough. There's like a couple times where this clear like pedo car rolled up on us, and like I remember yelling at him, and I like freaked him out. It was all like rolling up all slow on us. I yelled some shit, and that's like the key to getting rid of those kind of creeps, is to just be bigger. Just learn how to be bigger. I was a little baby boy, and I already knew how to be bigger than grown men. That's not too bad.
Leave the house because of all of these
That'll
liberal,
keep you and your friends safe.
femme-minded,
And why do you
garbage,
think-
girl feels,
Okay.
girl boss,
And why
Netflix,
do you think-
Piers Morgan,
And what?
bullshit,
Okay. And
it
why
needs
do you
to
think?
end.
And
Women are
Andrew
gonna
Tate.
keep dying.
Andrew Tate, why do you think it is that people think you're a misogynist?
Nobody thinks that.
You don't
one
understand why,
thinks
do you?
that.
You can't even get it as you spew this stuff.
Oh, I understand that there's weaponized virtue.
Well, that's he's taken this angle of, right, weaponized virtue is like a good point. He's taking the angle of like, if they're in danger, right? That's like the angle he's taking. Like, I feel like that argument is like intentionally there's something like disingenuous about it, about the overall thing. You hear that argument with like a lot of right guys, but it's like not, because it's not totally wrong. Like, I don't meet a lot of women that like want to work, that like want to work a lame job. They'd love to do like some kind of significant special job, sure. But most women like don't want to work. Most women do want families. Right? Like, most women do want to feel protected. I don't know if a single woman doesn't want to feel protected. Everybody alive wants to feel protected. Sometimes you got to protect yourself, whatever. But when there's men out that exist that are just naturally bigger and all these things, then you need someone to protect you. That's true. That's the cold hard truth. Like, and there are freaks out there that we see in the news all the time. If we're taking in politics and Twitter, there's tons of freaky shit going on. So especially if you're in England, supposedly. Who knows how regular and close to home this shit actually is for most people, but some of the shit I've seen, dude, I wouldn't be chilling. I wouldn't be too cool about it.
I understand that.
Oh, it's not
liberals-
weaponized virtue.
I understand, sir.
You don't
that the
believe in
same
women's
media-
rights.
I understand.
But they're not Americans, right? Like, they don't have guns or speech. We fought them. We beat the shit out of them. And, then we ended their empire. So we can't just give up our empire and likely, like, give it to Israel? Is that the plan? We just keep letting America go to shit, and then we give our empire to Israel. Israel becomes the new empire. No? Am I wrong here? Anybody with that? Is the American superpower only going to last for like a few hundred years or so, and then that world power shifts to Israel? Like, it starts in like Egypt and goes to Greece and then to Rome and then to the white places and then to Britain and then Germany tries to get it, but then they're like no, and then it goes to America. Like, you can see it, you can see it move throughout the map like this, like a snake. And then now Israel's going to try to get it. But you see, when like the Germany tried to get it and it didn't work, right? Because it didn't move like a snake. It didn't flow. So that's my only theory. My theory is the Israel thing is going to end really ugly, or it'll just be really tense forever. Like, they're just trying to get past this. If we could just get past 100 years, then people will just like have to deal with it. They'll just have to let it sink in. This is just how things are. Or will the Arabs never forget and one day equate the power and then smash them horrifically? That's clearly what they would like to do. Let's stay tuned to the greatest show ever made. It's called Earth. It's called Humans on Earth. We got to wrap this
You
shit
don't
up.
believe in women's rights.
It's ridiculous. Girls are great, guys. Respect women. You're not going to get a good girl if if she accepts you treating her like shit, you're not going to get a good girl. It's not even going to be good for you. It's not okay to treat people like shit, to be a tyrannical fucking idiot, which is like the pitch to this whole incel fucking bullshit, you know, like treat them well, value them for what they are, you know, just beautiful and sacred and necessary for the procreation of your bloodline. Let's hear Piers Morgan's "You're a terrible misogynist," and then finish the shit that goddamn hour-long bye.
Oh, even maybe to yourself. But when you talk about the way you want to subjugate women,
and guys, that's just like personal advice. If you need some help getting a girl, it's like, well, you know, just like, you know, treat them as sacred, which is the idea, which is Tate's. It's this whole thing. It's to treat them as sacred. It's just dramatic and fucking clicky and appeals to this sort of incel bullshit, which is actually going to be destructive for you, dude. I have had friends and have friends that have incel tendencies, and it's like, dude, I get it, but that's not the way.
no vote, no job, no power, but you, Andrew Tate, will take control of them and take charge and protect them. Do me a bloody favor. Why would
Because like when you meet someone in reality who seems like an actual incel, it's like kind of shocking. It's like, oh my god. And then so like you really understand the appeal to like an Andrew Tate guy and how it gets spun in their mind. While as Tate's take is actually really just like they're sacred and they needed to be treated as such. You don't leave your diamonds outside on the front porch all day. That's not something you do. That's the idea. And in that way, it's not very edgy. But this is the business of entertainment, so.
My daughter has no vote, no power.
And that's likely the same reasoning with the ugly stuff that Charlie Kirk has posted. It's probably the same idea. I don't know Charlie Kirk's career too well and all that, but it's very much likely the same idea. It comes from the spirit of entertainment, and he's like actually not a piece of shit, as like just the headline would imply.
Listens to daddy, does everything I say. She's alive, well, and drives a Bentley. Let me tell you something, Pierce. I've asked you many single questions. I've asked you many questions on this interview, and you answered absolutely none of them for a reason.
My job is the interviewer. I ask the question. You don't.
About the vote. Bring up an electoral map of men only voting in America. Let's look if men are voting for these soft on crime, open border policies of the Democrats, or if men are voting Republican. Prove me wrong. This is your chance, Mr. Piers Morgan, legend of the legacy
You're
media,
mistaking
Mr.
me.
Smartass.
You're mistaking me. You're mistaking
wrong.
me for a fellow misogynist, and I'm not.
No, you don't want to prove me right, sir. But
I don't
everyone
have
already
to,
knows
I don't
I'm
have
right.
to prove
Every
you
other
right
time you've
or
ever
wrong.
spoken. Every single time
people have
the comment
heard you.
section is nothing but decimation of your decimation of the little bit of legacy you have left, a little bit of credibility that you've
People
retained.
will watch. Well, we'll see.
Does Tate like? Oh yeah, he has two
How your
daughters.
credibility fares after your court cases, right? And like I say,
The same as it did in Romania.
Like I say,
the same as it did in Romania.
I don't know the
I am innocent. I am the victim of a deep state
I think it's going to be very.
No, if you were a real journalist, Pierce, if you were a real journalist, I just told you that the British foreign
I
office
fucking love Piers
wrote
Morgan,
to
dude. I'm
another
trying to watch
sovereign
like
nation,
some
declaring
some
me a
new
national
Piers
security
Morgan
threat
and Alex
and
Jones
asking
content.
them
That
to get
sounds
me off
amazing.
the internet. Don't you think you should have asked a single question about that? How I know it? What proof I have? Is it on paper? Why did they do that? Is that legal? Why were you in jail without charges? 4 years locked in your house, never convicted. You never even went to court. If you were a real journalist, you would have asked me 20 questions. And you know what? I told you that. I told you something breaking, that the British Foreign Office broke international law, just like they did with Julian Assange.
Men, and they should watch this interview and understand very clearly that actually women should have the right to vote, they should have the right to work, they should have the right to hold positions of power, and that your kind of misogyny is actually taking us back 150 years to a place where women stayed at home.
Women should have the...
Yeah, it's really not right, guys. Like if you, like I had a single mom. It's not cool. Like women need to be empowered. Women who suffer from men hurt young boys. Okay, they fuck up young boys. So we need, like, just realistically, this is too deep. This is too deep, guys. We're getting too deep. It's not good for, because it's very likely if a woman is mistreated and she has a son, she will take that trauma out on her son unconsciously. She will not even realize it, but she will. And that's the reality of it. I don't give a fuck what anybody has to say about it. I'll spar Andrew Tate any day. Let's party, young boy.
Coming back and uncensored. Thank you.
For girl power. That was cool. Good take. That's my take though. He's just trying to be dramatic and show women as sacred, right? That's my take. He doesn't want him to vote. Could ancient Greek women vote? Let's settle it. Women were not allowed to vote in ancient Greece as the political system was exclusively reserved for male citizens. In ancient Greece, particularly in states like Athens, women were largely excluded from the political life. The democratic system established in Athens around the 5th century BCE defined citizenship narrowly, allowing only free men who had completed military service to participate in the political process. This meant that women, children, and slaves were all excluded from voting and holding public offices. Okay, well, there you go. That's cool. We don't have slaves anymore either, so where to land on this? I don't know. Flip a coin. That's the end of the video, guys. See you later.